Welcome back. For our next drawing assignment, you are going to be drawing a human face. You've been reading about the principles of design, these rules and recipes of art that are used to create art. And one of those rules, as you recall from your reading, deals with size relationships, and it's proportion. Proportion and scale, two things that are often talked about in the same breath. And both of them lay out some rules for how artists might size things. And just for this drawing, we're going to focus on proportion. And of course, proportion deals with taking an object and comparing parts of that object to other parts of that object, that same object. So your measuring system stays within that one object. Now this is as opposed to bringing in an outside measurement like a ruler or a scale or some external means of measuring an object. So proportion is all about internal measurements. And we're going to be drawing this human face based on some proportions that are really, really old, like hundreds of years old, that artists have been using since the Renaissance. And the unit of measure that we're going to be using for at least part of our face drawing is the human eye. So we're going to be comparing the width of the human eye to other parts of the face. So let's get started. I want you to use your same drawing materials, just your printer paper, a number 2 pencil, and whatever eraser you have on hand. And let's do this drawing. All right, to get started, I want you to just draw sort of an egg shape. This is going to be the shape of our head, and you can keep it kind of loose. I'm just going to draw these kind of loose lines here. And I'm going to make it a little pointier at the bottom, because that's where I'm going to situate my chin. And there we go. There's our egg shape right here. It's going to be our rough sort of outline of the human head. And I'm just going to be making this up as I go along. This is going to be a really generic sort of head. It might end up looking even a little androgynous before I'm done. I don't know if I'm going to do a male or female. We'll see. I'm going to do a very light line straight down the middle of the head to divide it into 2 equal parts, a vertical axis. You can use a ruler to do this if you want. I'm just going to freehand it. Next, I am going to mark the bottom of the chin and the very top of the skull here, and I'm going to place a horizontal line exactly halfway between those 2 marks. And in order to do this, you can use another sheet of paper. I am going to use a sheet of paper here from here to here. Okay, I'm just going to place the top of the paper along the top of the head here, and then where the chin is, where the chin's going to be, I'm going to put a little mark. I'm going to fold that piece of paper in half, not the whole piece of paper, just between the mark I made and the end of the paper, and I'm going to put a little mark right here where the halfway point is. Then I'm going to place this back on my drawing, and this should give me the exact halfway distance between the top of the head and bottom of the chin. Another idea is you can just use a ruler if you want to measure this out. So I'm going to extend this line all the way across. Again, you can use a ruler for that. And now we have sort of a crosshairs on our generic head shape. Let's start using, whoops, lost my pencil here. Let me start using the eye as a proportioning tool. Now, this is really amazing, and it freaks out drawing students when they learn this for the first time. But this line that we drew right here, halfway between the top and bottom, is actually the line that the human eye rests on, that your eyes are exactly halfway between the top of your head and the bottom of your chin, which seems kind of low. But once you draw it and you realize how these proportions work, it's dead on. So I am going to put a couple of eyes here. And the way I'm going to draw the eye, I'll draw it out here. I'm going to draw sort of an arching shape like this. Okay? And then I'm going to draw a circle that's coming out underneath it, but the circle is sort of tucked up into that arching shape. So I'm going to draw one right here. I'm going to guess about where that should be. It shouldn't touch that line, and it shouldn't touch the side here. And I'm going to draw another one right here. And if you want, you can draw lightly, really lightly, and feel free to erase it. This is going to mark where my eyes are. Now, here's where our proportioning comes in, because if we use the eye as a unit of measure, the human head is, on average, 5 eyes wide. Okay, so we have 2 eyes here, and I should be able to like draw an eye right there, and draw another eye right there, and draw another eye right there. And I could put irises and pupils in them and look like a really freaky monster with 5 eyes. We're not going to do that. Just focus on these 2 eyes here. And you could even get out a ruler and measure from here to here, divide it into 5 equal units, and make little marks, and that'll tell you exactly where to put the eyes. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just sort of freehanding and guessing at it. So I'm going to erase the extra eyes. It looks like I spaced that out about where they need to be. And of course this means, by the way, that there's 1 eye's width between the normal human eyes. From tear duct to tear duct, here to here, is 1 eye wide. So that's a little trick you can remember. You know, sometimes I'll look at people, I'm always analyzing people's faces, and I'll think, man, their eyes seem kind of far apart, or their eyes seem kind of close together. And that's because their distance between their 2 eyes is less or more than 1 eye. This is just a standard proportion. Okay, finishing out the eyes here, let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to add actually an extra fold of skin for the eyelid. That always looks good, and sometimes art students don't want to draw that. There's our eyelids. And then I'm going to draw the iris, or the colored part of the eye, just coming up from underneath those 2 eyes, or the 2 lines I've already drawn. There we go. So that's the iris, right? And you can add a pupil if you want. I'm going to shade that in dark, maybe even leave a little spot of white for a reflection or highlight on the pupil. Shade in the irises. The iris is the colored part of the eye. Really darken that upper eyelid, like so. Shade that in. There, now we have the foundation of a face. Again, we're building our faces around the eyes. And when I draw people, I'll often start with the eyes. That's a really good starting spot, and you can sort of go out from there. So again, we should have 5 eyes wide here. I'm going to go up from my middle line here. I'm going to go up about 1 eye's height from that line. Not width, but height. And I'm going to draw some eyebrows. And try to make those kind of symmetrical. Eyebrows are so interesting and individual. There we go. I've actually gone up a little more than an eye's height. That's okay. There's a lot of leeway there. And when you do eyebrows, I'll do another sort of big eyebrow up here. I'm very intentional about the direction of the little lines I'm making. Towards the middle, or the nose, middle of your head right there, the eyebrow hairs kind of shoot almost straight up. And then as you move out away from the middle of the head, they tend to lie down on their sides and kind of move towards the outside edges. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to create some eyebrow business going on here, something like that. Give some kind of arching eyebrows. You can even add a little bit of eyelash here. I feel like this is going to be a female figure. I feel like that's what it's turning into, so we'll go with that. So the eyebrows on the other side. My hand may be covering up some of this, so I hope you can see it. And again, if you mess up, you can pause this video and feel free to erase. That eyebrow is a little too long. Let's redo that. There we go. Okay, so now we have some eyebrows established. They should be about 1 eye's height above this line. Mine are a little more. And the point of the, notice the eyebrow's an arch. You might question, okay, what part of the eyebrow do I measure from? I usually measure that 1 eye's height from sort of the origin point of the eyebrow closest to the middle of the face. Okay, so we have some eyebrows here. Our next measurement is going to be between the line of the eyebrows and the chin. Again, you can use a ruler or you can use paper. I'm just going to freehand it here. I'm just going to guess. I want you to make a little line exactly halfway between the bottom of the chin and the eyebrows. There's that line right there. That is going to be the bottom of the nose, okay, this bottom curve of the nose right there. So I'm going to draw just a little U shape right here. And again, I'll draw a detail here. The nose, sort of an abbreviated way to draw the nose, is to draw a little U shape like that, and 2 little C shapes. And it's almost like the C's are almost like parentheses on this U shape. Something like that. That's just a little abbreviated way to draw the bottom of the nose. So here I go, I have a U shape like that, and I'm going to bring that up, and then I'm going to have C shape. This is going to represent the two nostrils, okay, on the sides. Right there are the two wings of the nostrils, like so. And you could even add a little bit of shading, bust out some of your hatching and cross-hatching, maybe up here if we want to suggest kind of the origin point of the nose. I'm going to go in and erase some of these lines so this looks a little more human-like. I typically don't draw lines on the side of the nose. A lot of times that looks kind of fake. It flattens out the face, kills the illusion of realism. So I'm going to add a little bit of shadow to the bottom of the nose here. So there we have eyebrows, we have eyes, we have a nose. Let's put in a mouth. And this is not really tricky. You just want to pay attention here. I'm going to look at the line for the bottom of the nose and the line for the bottom of the chin. And I'm going to divide this distance between these two lines into thirds. I'm going to put down 2 lines that will divide this into 3 equal parts. So again, you can use a ruler if you want. I'm just going to guess. So here we go. There are 2 lines marking this distance into thirds. Here's 1 third, here's another third, here's the third third. This upper line right here is going to be the line of the lips. It's actually where the 2 lips come together, the line of the mouth. So I'm going to draw that right here, like so. Something like that. I usually don't do a line straight across with the line of the mouth. I usually do something kind of like this. It's what artists call the Cupid's bow. And it does look like a bow. It looks kind of like a bow that has not been strung yet. So there's kind of a dip in the middle, and it goes up on the sides and then slopes down and turns up at the corners. So I'm going to do that. But the important thing to remember proportionally is that this line of the lips is 1/3 of the way down between the nose and the chin. It's not halfway down, it's 1/3 of the way down. For the upper lip, I'm going to add that little curvy thing that is at the top of your upper lip. I'm going to add some lines here indicating or suggesting the upper lip. You could shade in the upper lip if you wanted to. Often the upper lip is darker than the lower lip, like so. I'm going to add some little shadows to the corners of the mouth here. Right there and right there. There we go. This is a woman. I don't want to give her anything that looks like a mustache, so I may work in here, make it a little more shaded, or knock down on some of those shadows. How wide do you make the mouth? The mouth should be as wide as the pupils are far apart. So you could take an invisible line and drop it straight down from the pupils, and it should hit the corners of the mouth. That's how wide the mouth is. Now, for the bottom lip, I'm not actually going to outline the entire bottom lip. A lot of times if you do that, it looks awkward. It looks like the person's wearing lipstick. Instead, I'm going to add a simple shadow down here, just sort of in the middle of the bottom lip, like so. I'm going to erase this little third line right there. So I'm giving this female figure ample lips, maybe even add a little bit of shading where the 2 lips come together to make them really seem like they have 3-dimensionality, like these 2 lips are sort of rolling into each other. So we got a shadow under that lip. And now we have some proportioned facial features. And obviously not every person on the planet falls into these proportions. They're idealized and sort of generic. I'm going to start working on some of the edges of the face here, giving this figure some cheekbones coming down here. The ears actually, conveniently, when you're looking at someone straight on, the ears typically line up with the eyebrow line and the bottom of the nose. So if I want to add a little bit of an ear here, I can add that, and that's certainly what I'm going to do here. Make sure they're kind of symmetrical. Of course, our faces aren't really symmetrical. For example, one ear, on me, one ear is higher than the other, and when I wear glasses, the glasses kind of go like that. So all of us have little asymmetricalities about our face. And I may not have even drawn the ears very symmetrically in my drawing. Let me adjust them a little bit. And of course, let's add some hair. The hair comes in on the sides, and there's a little, so it's going to take up some of that space on the sides. I'm going to just shade in from the side. I guess these are sort of like sideburns or whatever. Comes in. I'm going to give my figure, I guess, sort of some bangs that sort of originate from the side here, and sweep those lines for the hair in. The hair is actually going to be a little bit above this top line of the skull. So I'm going to define my hair. I think I'm going to have sort of just a short haircut on this female figure. I'll add some little lines here to suggest a neck. Right, like so. Bring this in. I'm going to establish a part right here. Okay, and I'm going to let other parts of the hair sort of come around like this. You don't have to draw a female figure. You could draw a male if you wanted to and just do some, I guess you can make it a long-haired dude. It's whatever you want to do. All right, so I have some hair established. I'm going to go in, and this is just dessert, right? We've already done the hard work of proportioning this out, and I'm going to just darken the hair here. If this were a figure drawing class, I could show you how we put highlights on the hair, how we darken the roots of hair, how we make it look kind of shiny, healthy. She's been using mane and tail conditioner, so she's going to have some shiny hair here. But if your hair does not look shiny, that is okay. In fact, if you choose not to draw hair, that's okay. The main thing I'm looking for is you understanding facial proportions, getting the eyes and nose and mouth and eyebrows and all that good stuff, especially proportioned out. So here we go. Let's bring in some darkness here, a little more darkness on the hair. And unlike our chiaroscuro drawing, this one doesn't have to be smoothly shaded. I'm getting kind of loose with my line work, trying to make all these lines suggest hair. And you can really go as far as you want with this. I'm going to bring in the cheeks a little bit tighter on the jawline, and then bring some hair back here. So this is, here's a girl, she's kind of generic. The beautiful thing about drawing from life instead of making it up out of your head is that when you draw from life, you're drawing a real human being. You're not drawing a generic human being. And that person is going to be so much more interesting than some sort of idealized, beautiful woman or girl. That person will have, again, those asymmetricalities that are so much fun to observe in a human face. I tend to think the prettier people are, the less interesting they are to draw. The fun people draw are the ones with wrinkles and one eye's a little higher than the other and that sort of thing. I think artists have always kind of celebrated that. There's some shoulders. So there we go. There's a proportioned face. Yours may not look exactly like this, and that is totally okay. The main thing that I'm interested in is you getting the proportions of these things correct. Spacing those eyes out to where there's one eye's width between the two eyes. Establishing the eyebrow line. Placing that nose halfway between the eyebrows and the chin. Breaking the distance between the bottom of the nose and the chin into thirds and putting that line of the lip on the upper third. This is an example of how to use proportion. And of course, proportion, one of our principles of design. So I hope you remember this. I hope you had fun, and I hope you'll practice drawing faces throughout your life.